Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams. In this episode, we're going to be going over my loves and hates. And for a quick description of what that means, loves, players that I like this week or I think should get an upgrade. Hates are players that I don't really like this week. You may have the plan, but lower your expectations. Starting off the top, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a terrible week last week going against the Saints. I definitely think he has a bounce back game, and plus, he's going against the Lions. Up next, Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a fantastic back and forth affair with Dak Prescott, and it's definitely going to lead to him having some great fantasy outputs. I think that Ben Roethlisberger should have a very solid game against the Raiders. A lot of people aren't starting him, but I definitely think that the Raiders don't scare me. Next, if you're really desperate, I think Teddy Bridgewater should have a fine game against Jacksonville. Jacksonville played terribly against the Houston Texans last week, and I definitely think that the Broncos are better than them. Moving on to the wide receiver position. The Dallas Cowboys wide receivers are going to have a great game in this one. I definitely think that Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are going to be firing at all cylinders, and it's going to be a great back and forth affair. Fire both of them up. They should have a great week. Same thing on the other side for the Chargers receivers. I definitely think that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both going to have a very good game. Like I said before, this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think that there's a lot of benefactors to that. Up next, we have Tim Patrick. I think that Tim Patrick's going to be the benefactor to Jerry Jeudy's unfortunate injury. While Jerry Jeudy's out, Tim Patrick's going to slide right back in. So I definitely think he's a solid start. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiving corps. I think that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown all have great games, but I want to focus on Mike Evans because Mike Evans didn't have a great game in week 1. I definitely think this is a bounce back week. Look for him in the end zone. Up next, two running backs I want to give you some confidence in, even though I know that you're starting them. Ezekiel Elliott and Austin Eckler. They had mad games last week. In Zeke's case, he had a bad game last week. But I definitely think that you can fire them both up in this game. They should have a solid output. Like I said, it's going to be a high-scoring game. You want every piece you can get. Up next, Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I definitely think that you should start him in this game. He was on the field the whole game. I definitely think that's going to turn into fantasy production. It just didn't do it last week, so watch out for him this week. And also predicting a score for him. He's going to get his first touchdown as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Welcome to the NFL. Up next, Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris is going to have a fine game. He definitely got a lot of production last week, though he did fumble in the red zone, which I'm hoping he's not going to get a punishment for that, especially because the backup fumbled too. And going against the Jets, give me that. I think Damian Harris has a very solid game. And this last one, I'm not super excited about, but opportunity is king in fantasy football. Kenyan Drake, running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. I definitely think that he is going to have a solid game. With Josh Jacobs out, Kenyan Drake's going to slide in, and though he has a terrible matchup, I definitely think they're going to need to pass it to the running back position so they can help move it down the field, and that is where Kenyan Drake comes in. At the tight end position, the first one, you're definitely going to start Mark Andrews. I just want to give you some confidence. The Ravens receiving corps is dinged up. I definitely think Mark Andrews is going to receive a decent amount of receiving work, especially because I personally expect that the Ravens are going to be down in this game to the Kansas City Chiefs. Up next, Noah Fant, tight end for the Denver Broncos. With Jerry Jeudy going down, Tim Patrick won't be the only one that receives more work. I think Noah Fant is going to be a solid play this week, especially going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And last but not least, we have Jared Cook. Jared Cook is the tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. He had 8 targets last week. That was third on the team. And like I said before, you want the pieces in this game. I definitely think Jared Cook has a solid outing. And that's going to do it for my loves for week 2. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. Peace. Hates are players that I don't really like this week. You may have the plan, but lower your expectations. Starting at the top, we have the quarterback position. Derek Carr is going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though he had a great week 1 and looked good against the Ravens, not gonna lie. I definitely think this is gonna be a rough matchup for him. The Pittsburgh Steelers are an incredible defense. They're gonna be all over him, so I would prefer to stay away from this one if you could. And you should be able to, especially in 1 quarterback leagues. Up next, we have Trevor Lawrence against the Broncos. The Broncos are a solid defense, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't proven it to me yet, to be honest with you. So, until further notice, I'm not trying to start Trevor Lawrence. Leave him on your bench. Up next, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Jimmy GQ as I like to call him. Jimmy Garoppolo going against the Eagles. The Eagles don't really terrify me in general. I do like their defensive line, but I'm just not confident in Jimmy Garoppolo, especially if Trey Lance is going to be in there switching in and out. How much is that going to happen? Is it going to increase as the season moves on? I'm not trying to risk it on that. And last but not least, Jared Goff. Jared Goff is meh at best. I'm confident that the Packers are going to win this game. I'm confident there's going to be garbage time. So if you want to bank on garbage time, I still think you can start Jared Goff. I would prefer not to because I really don't see the Detroit Lions having a very good output on this one. Moving on to the wide receiver position. Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, put up a goose egg last week, wasn't involved at all. I'm definitely going to bench him until further notice. Not that I don't like his talent, but opportunity is king in fantasy football, and he got none last week. So he's going to have to perform before he slides into the lineup. Next up, the Raiders wide receivers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not trying to start any of the Raiders wide receivers. Not Henry Ruggs, not Hunter Renfrow, not Bryan Edwards. I'm not trying to start them against the Steelers. The Steelers are a great defense, and clearly Darren Waller is the top target on this team. Same for the Colts wide receivers going against the Rams. Dak Prescott had a great week last week. I hear you. But there's levels to this. And Jalen Ramsey is not somebody I'm trying to play with. So bench your Colts wide receivers. And that includes Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman Jr. as well. No thank you. Moving on to the running back position. James Robinson had high hopes at the beginning of the year, but clearly Carlos Hyde is going to be more involved than people like, and they're going against the Broncos. Hard pass. Next up, Mike Davis, running back for the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs' run defense is absolutely incredible, and I don't think that his passing work is going to be enough for you to start him. If I were you, I'd be looking for alternatives. Up next, we have the Bills running back room. I'm not trying to start Devin Singletary or Zach Moss. Going up against the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins is a solid defense, and I still don't trust that Bills backfield, especially not with both of them there. Same with the Jets backfield. The Jets running backs are not to be trusted, especially going against the Patriots, who lost in week 1. You know Bill Belichick is furious right now. There is no way the Jets are going to have almost any production in this game. Bench all your Jets that aren't named Corey Davis. The last one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running backs. Not because I don't think that either one of them can be productive, because the Bucs should be up in this game, and I definitely think they're going to run the ball. But who's it going to be? Ronald Jones was fumbling it last week, but Leonard Fournette caused a pick. Giovanni Bernard really isn't included because the Bucs aren't going to be down in this game. But the top 2 running backs on the team, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, nah. I'm going to wait and see to see if there is a player that's going to rise above the other one. But as of right now, I can't trust either. And last but not least, we have the tight end position. Mike Gesicki. Now, Mike Gesicki had some promise coming into the year, and I have him in the league. I didn't drop him, but I benched him for Jared Cook because I need to see Mike Gesicki have some production. I had nothing from him last week. That was terrible. And I'm not trying to have that 2 weeks in a row to start my season, so I would bench him or drop him if you don't have any other options. I would prefer to bench him, which is what I did, because the tight end landscape is pretty terrible. I definitely think that he can bounce back moving forward. I just can't play him this week after such a terrible game last week. And that's going to do it for my hates of this week. Again, I don't hate these players. I just think that they should be downgraded from the way you may view them season long. Alright, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to hit me up. Good luck in week 2. Peace.